What's up guys, it's Sean and welcome back to the iherng podcast, and today this episode is brought to you by Open House. It's this brand new app that's operated by AI that helps first-time home buyer looking for new projects that are launched within the market. So it can be based on your location. So when you click the app, when you open it up, right, it tells you brand new projects that are launched within your proximity up to 1 km, 2 km, 5 km, 10 km, and it helps you with that 20 different properties research. All in all, just to help first-time home properties make that informed decision. So go check it out. Anyway, back to the email. The title is actually very scary. Should I aim cashback to settle my personal loan? Help me, please. Ooh. So this is from Mami Desu. Dear Sean, I hope this message finds you well. I am writing to seek your valuable advice. My name is Mami Desu, a 32-year-old married man without children. I work as a government servant, earning 7,800 monthly after tax. Meanwhile, my wife is employed in the private sector, bringing in 7,000 after tax. So in total is 15,000. Currently, she owns a house with a monthly installment of 2,008, which is not rented out yet. In 2022, due to the lack of financial literacy, I took out a flexi personal loan of 300,000 for a 10 years period to renovate my parents' house, resulting in a monthly installment of 3,300. Additionally, we are renting a house for 2,000 per month and no car loans. My total monthly commitments amount to 5,290. That consists of the personal loan 3,003 and a house rent of 2,000. So in total 5,003. And the outstanding balance of my personal loan is 252,000. After educating myself about property investment, primarily from your videos, thank you very much, I've come to realize the disadvantages of personal loan, which are considered bad debt. Consequently, I'm seeking a way to clear this personal loan. However, I lack the necessary cash or resources to cover the outstanding balance, except by purchasing a new property with cashback, which I plan to use to settle the personal loan. I've identified a property near KL Central with a sales and purchase agreement of 1 million, a bank loan of 950,000, which includes 250,000 cashback. Since I'm only eligible for a 750,000 loan, I intend to join the purchase of the property with my wife to afford it. The monthly installment for this property would be around 4,003 with a management fee of 370, a total of 4,700. This would result in a monthly saving of 620 compared to my current commitments. Once we acquire the property, we plan to reside there. Property listings suggest that similar properties can be rented out for 3,000 to 3,500 per month. Do you think it is wise to target a cashback option by purchasing the property, or am I making a detrimental decision? Or is there any other better options besides what I am planning? I value your opinion on this matter. Sincerely, Mami Desu. PS. I wish I had discovered your videos earlier. I've learned a lot and truly appreciate your efforts in educating the public about property and investment for free. I hope you continue to thrive and succeed. First of all, thank you very much, Mami Desu, for writing in, and I appreciate and I acknowledge the courage in identifying that you guys made a mistake. Okay, here is the mistake. Okay, so the entire scenario is pretty straightforward. Couple, the man is 32, woman didn't say how old, but a joint income of 15,000. Wife has a property with a monthly installment of 2,008. Then they are actually renting a house for 2,000 bucks. And every month they are actually paying for a personal loan at 3,300 ringgit, where the personal loan is actually 300,000 at a 10-year period. So now the only way to actually close this hole of personal loan is via buying a property with cashback. A few things to highlight here first. Okay, so an advice for everybody to really gear up our financial literacy, right, is to understand what interest rate does and what it means and how it differs between different categories of loan. A lot of people only know about hire purchase. Unfortunately for Malaysians, right, we only know hire purchase because Malaysians are just obsessed with cars, and honestly, we cannot get to anywhere we want conveniently without a car lah. So I can understand that. But a lot of people do not know how hire purchase loan is actually tabulated, which is scary. Although there are some innovative methods where they are also using a reducing pattern to somewhat like a housing loan to the hire purchase loan, but it's not popular at all because it's complicated. That frustrates me a lot. For example, if you were to buy a brand new car at 50,000, this is conventional hire purchase, yeah? 50,000, then I think a new car now interest rate is around 3%. So what people will actually do is they will go to the car dealer and, hey, you know what, hey, can you give me free umbrella lah, free full tank of petrol lah, free touch and go voucher lah, can cut down a little bit more, maybe like 2,000 or 1,000 off lah, right? Then they'll be so thrilled with all that savings. Anybody would. But the point is, the difference between an interest rate of a 3-year loan, 5-year loan, 7-year loan, 9-year loan is drastic. Let's say if it's 3%. 3% out of 50,000 is 1,500. And if you take 3 years of interest, it's going to be 4,500 already. So in total, you are paying for the car in 3 years and 54,500. Okay? Ayash, we just drag long, right? Drag long, monthly installment, cheap, right? That's the point. Then until year 5, then we sell the car and we upgrade the car. That's always the advice, okay? I don't know why, but that's always the advice, and they drag 9 years. 9 years loan means that you are paying 27% of interest. It's just 3% times 9. 27% of 50,000. How much would that be? 13,500. So in 9 years time, you are paying in a total of 63,500 ringgit in total for 9 years time. You muscle all the way through for the discount and all, right? I would actually suggest to actually cut down the loan tenure. Yes, it will be struggling month to month basis for a few hundred ringgit, but you actually save a lot in the long run. Then a lot of people then make the comparison, ayo, 63,000, might as well get the next segment car of sedan already, which is much better. So it's a never-ending conversation. The same happens with personal loan. The same happens with all the illegal loan, shark loans. So it's actually a very, very sad thing. Like lately, I'm actually paying a lot of attention to all these kind of things. And just food for thought, right? To think about how banks work. Like, we are always having all this issue as a property investor. We do all documentation, we prepare in advance before we can get a loan. They look through our secrets, CTOS, EPF statement, bank statement 6 months, tenancy agreement, SPA to prove ownership, FD, confirmation of the job offer, etc. They call to the company to make sure and verify that you are for real working in that company. All these are done and they calculate against a DSR, your debt service ratio, before they approve a housing loan to you. And it's always a nightmare to actually sign all the documents because it's a lot of documents, a lot of works, a lot of jargons here and there, insurance, fire insurance, takaful, this, that, all everything, all is it's just a lot of things. But if you want to take a personal loan, right, just need one IC. That's all. One IC. Of course, it's up to amount. If you want higher amount, then someone need to prove your ability to pay back. The same with credit card. Like if you go to like shopping centers, right, at most they just do your scanning for your EPF statement and your IC. Tada! You will get your credit card sent to you in a week. Why is that happening? Basically, it's just different product range of the banking facility, and they are making money more of personal loan, more of credit card, more of hire purchase compared to housing loan. Because if you were to look into the structure of interest rates, how they are tabulated and calculated, you will totally understand why already. And that's why the concept of good debts and bad debts are often spread around, but no one really truly understands. So this is something that I would really suggest everybody to go and find out what is the effective rate for all this kind of category, and you will understand why. And I don't want to share just like that, like personal loan is going to be like 6 to 8%, it can be to 12. Then for credit cards, if you only clear the minimum balance, and if you don't clear, it's going to be 16. And that's why I always laugh when people say that housing loan is very, very expensive. Come to think of it, like I just signed, like this is a banking facility letter that I just signed for my brand new property, right? And it's going for 3.85%. 3.85. Think about it. How is 3.85% expensive when the year-on-year increase for property price on average for the past 20 years is 3.6%? Just saying, Of course, it really depends on where you buy and where you invest and how you leverage and this kind of thing, right? So the only difference here the whole point of this front portion of the video is financial literacy. Like if you understand how loans work, how mortgage work, we can use the same tool, the same banking facility to our advantage. If I were to borrow money from the bank to make money or to build wealth, then it's a good thing. But if you were to use banking facilities and spend them on your Osaka trip or your Europe trip on credit cards, and you pay the minimum because your salary didn't bank in time, then you only pay the bare minimum because there are sequence of events that happens later, right? Whatever lah. So the whole year is just to pay the interest for a Europe trip that you don't need in the first place. Or maybe the same can happen for a car that you don't need. So here I would encourage everybody to really just go to the bank, right? Like if you've got nothing to do, go to the bank's website and understand rates, understand the difference between fixed rate and effective rates, the difference between all different banking facilities, and how lucky we are as Malaysians to have PTPTN, the cheapest loan ever, I think, in the world. Next point, Mr. Mami Desu here took a personal loan for renovation of, okay, if you think about it, right, like if it's just a linear story, 300,000 to renovate a parent's house, this is supposed to be a very happy thing, right? Means he has enough earning abilities to give back and show love to the families, right? So now the family can live in a much comfortable setting. It's a very, very good thing if you know what you're doing. So a few things to take note here. 300,000, we spoke about this before, directly being injected into a house for renovation does not necessarily transfer 100% into the house value. If it's a house of a 500,000, you inject 300,000 for renovation work, that does not necessarily mean the house is 800,000. At most, it's like 40% or 30%, provided they have the right authorities approval for the extension work and they actually do extension work, which means they have extended the kitchen or they expand the carport or living room or make it to a double story, structural changes that reflects in objective enhancement in size and space. Then it can be considered. If make good, for example, redo the interior, redo the ceiling. Another cool concept is 300,000 for renovation work. It's considered, it's a very weird amount because if a brand new apartment, I would actually use this 300,000 to get a new property, pay upfront, and I will do the installment because housing loan interest is way lower than a personal loan interest. Of course, this is done without the knowledge in mind just yet, so I understand. And this is very surprising because based on Mami Desu here, they are renting a house currently together, husband and wife, and also they have no car loans. And if you look into their income, right, they are actually solid. So now this renovation or personal loan is eating them alive. So after knowing this 300,000 is not exactly the best thing to do, I don't even want to argue like, do we really need that amount, that 300,000 amount? No? It's actually building a new home from scratch amount. Why do you need so much is a whole different category of discussion altogether. After understanding the difference of rates between different facilities, the need and setback of taking a personal loan for renovation because the ultimate value is not transferred, you're actually taking a loan with very, very high interest to pay for something that is depreciating in value. Now they're actually exploring to get a property with cashback. And there's something I must highlight here first. This happens, I think, only to properties in Malaysia. For those who are new in property investment, they'll think this is somewhat borderline like a scam kind of thing. But it's an open taboo. It's a taboo that everybody knows but nobody wants to talk about it. Discounts, rebates, whatever it means, is just somewhat of a discount from the original price. Because the main problem of why a lot of Malaysians cannot buy property is due to loan eligibility issue. You don't have the sufficient income to support the loan application. Then the second problem, very close to that, is actually insufficient capital upfront. If the whole property market, let's say tomorrow onwards, no more such thing. Every purchase must have a 10% upfront down payment first before the transaction can be completed. I think the whole market will collapse because everybody is just rolling on credit right now. What does it mean then? For example, if you want to buy a 500,000 property, technically down payment before I were to sign the SPA, I will need to pay 10% for it, which is 50,000 in hard cash before we can sign the transaction. And in that sense, technically the whole market will be very, very healthy. truly reflecting the economy of the nation. And that's the main difference between Malaysia's property market and Singapore property market right now. So like for them, the upfront payment with the additional buyer stamp duty and this kind of thing, right? In order to buy the second or third property, right, it's almost impossible because they need to cough upfront 20%, 30% for tax first before paying 10% for the down payment. Only they can own a property. For us in Malaysia, a very beautiful Malaysia, if you were to buy a 500,000 property, let's say developer give you 10% discount, okay, and the discount takes place in the front portion, which is the signing of the agreement. It means you can actually own the property with 0 down payment because technically you need 10 ma, right? So now the 10 is actually a discount. As long as you can qualify for the loan of the property, which is 500,000, it's all good. Then sooner or later, 10% feels a bit mediocre. Hey, I want more, 12%, 13%, 15%, and this is where the cashback comes in place. Now for this example, the SPA price is actually 1,050,000, right? And the 90% loan is actually 950,000. But the net price is 730,000. So if husband and wife here of Mami Desu qualifies 90% of the loan, they can get a surplus of 220,000, which can cover the entire personal loan that is outstanding. Because if he only depends on his own name, he can only get up to the amount of 750, which is the net price. So they can get the property. There's no surplus to actually cover the renovation loan, which is the problem they are trying to solve here. So what would be my take? The logic here is every month they're paying already 2,000 for rent and 3,003 for personal loan for the next 9 years, 10 years, because it's a 10 years loan, so another 9 years, I guess. So outstanding every month is 5,300. If they were to take this loan using the cashback to settle the personal loan, now the installment amount for this property will be 4,003 plus everything is around 4,007. So 4,007 here because they're going to stay inside, so the rent also don't need really. So 5,003 versus 4,007. So they calculate as 600 ringgit, give or take, savings every single month. In this logic, I would think that it's good. It means that they are using a good debt, which is housing loan, where the exact same 250,000 cashback, right? The interest is actually at 3 to 4% compared to a personal loan that is around 8%. But the only thing that is lacking right now is the format of your personal loan. So maybe you would also want to check with the bank that is there any possibility of having discounts by settling early, right? Because like technically the loan interest should be included already. An argument here that I possibly foresee from the comment section, there's a lot of experts here actually. So that's a great thing about this community that we are building right now. Since the loan is a 10-year loan, right, for the personal loan, interest is already tabulated conventionally. So I don't know what's the format of yours, Mami Desu, but conventionally, the interest is already tabulated in. And you just pay consistently every single month for the past 10 years. Because there's no benefit in settling early. There's no benefit, again, there's no savings or benefit if you were to settle this loan early. You already paid the price of interest to enjoy this facility. So why pay early? Another way to look at it, right, because if you mentioned here, you don't use your wife's name, actually you're only eligible for 750,000 loan, which is the net price of the property. So here, let's say the net price here is 730,000 net. Your loan, if you are young, I assume at 32, you can take 35 years loan. Assuming 4% for the next 35 years, it's around 3,200 plus, right? I think like 3,200 plus. And the property can actually be rented at 3,000 to 305 based on your research. Actually, it's a good buy. I think it's a good buy. So if you were to buy, then if you were to rent out every month, maybe you can extra 300 to 400 on paper. Of course, the maintenance, the bank don't see. So technically on paper, you will be surplus of 300 to 400 ringgit. You are building your wealth like that. But the risk here is because your total, which is 5,003 in the first place, is eating up all your savings. But thankfully, it's only 10 years. So, tricky. So the benefit of going through your proposal, which is to use the cashback to settle it. So now every month, instead of 5,003, I will pay up around 4,006. And the best thing is, versus rent right now, you are owning the property. So there's somewhat of ownership. And when you pay the monthly installment of around 4,600, right, there's elements to that belongs to you in the form of savings. And in this location in KL Central, by buying this property here, it puts you in a position to somewhat have a possibility of enjoying the future capital appreciation instead of just renting a property. But the thing that I like here is that it will form a very good momentum towards financial independence first, which means no more the burden of me telling myself I made a mistake of getting this renovation loan of 300,000 that I cannot afford in the first place. Now no more such thing, but moving towards, right, this debt, although interest is already covered, just settle it. It's just like credit cards, right? Although every month actually okay to just pay the minimum, but the feeling and the discipline that you get of clearing all these debt altogether leads you to a better financial position in life. Now when you walk around, you got no debt, man, and the feeling of no debt is amazing. The very fortunate thing here will be the willingness of your wife to let you use her name to qualify, so you can get the cash back to settle the personal loan for your parents' house, not her parents' house. That is the sacrifice that I must acknowledge in this scenario right now, because she also has her fair share of commitments to pay back. So 2008 is something that she has on the side. It's not only the 4,007 that you guys need to share. So a communication between both of you, it's, I don't know, every couple will have their own dynamics. Who's gonna settle this 4,007? Yes, you use my name. Okay, I'm the wife now. You use my name, fine, right? Because of you, I cannot invest in another property that might make me profit. But you already used the allocation of my credibility, okay? But I'm fine because I love you, right? 4,007 then is 100% your responsibility, because you are using it to cover a mistake you did or a contribution you did for your parents. Have that sorted out first. Don't take this kind of thing for granted. Ayah, she know one lah. Ayah, he know one lah. We are husband and wife, man. We don't have to put things out black and white one. So I always believe in over communication, and that will be my suggestion first. Clear that communication with your wife first before proceeding this. As husband and wife work together, right, have a better conversation around money. It actually leads the family to a better financial state in the future. But the last point here, this is rather unwritten, but the benefit of Malaysia banks, like Malaysians, right, we are all still friend, everything can be negotiated here. Is there a possibility to find out about a one lump sum payment? Is there any discounts? Again, we want discount. Malaysian with discount. Is there any somewhat discount if I were to settle the 252 outstanding personal loan in one lump sum? Can we do that? Because there's also a scenario of when the money comes in. This kind of heavy rebate setting or arrangement only happens to a project that's not completed yet. So a very important thing to take note here is when the saving comes in. So as you mentioned just now, the 10% can be the upfront, right? So you already enjoy 10%. Let's say another 20% in rebate, right? When does the developer bank into you? Please clarify on that, because it's based on the construction progress, to be exact, Schedule H in your SPA, right? Upon stages, like for example, foundation, they will charge 10%, the structural works, they will charge 15%, then the more they build, the more they will collect from the bank lah. So only at this stage, when they collect from the bank, the developer will return that amount to you. But certain developers, then what they will do is they will arrange this cashback setting at the end of the completion. It means that until the project is going to VP, the final stages of, I think, the sewerage piping and the electrical wiring works, right? When those are complete, only they will give you the cashback or upon collection of keys. So when you collect the keys, then they'll give you the total rebate in cash back to you. So let's say if this project now is going to be 3 to 4 years kind of setting, maybe 2 more years, only you will get the money. So now a question for the developer, okay, so yes, I will buy the property to cover the personal loan, but one more layer to that is, when can I get the money to settle it? That's a very important thing, because the worst part is when the loan starts kicking in, right? Every month now you will pay interest for the loan, and if the cashback happens at the end of the progress, right, it's going to be a trouble, because now you need to service the interest for a home, at the same time rent, at the same time pay the interest for the personal loan. So it's going to be a double, triple whammy all together. So I think this element of time, of sequence, you have not paid attention to it yet. So this is something that I would encourage you to clarify heavily with the sales staff. I don't think sales staff is good enough. You really got to check with the developers, senior management at least. So that's the main concern if you were to take this approach. And why am I so familiar with all this? These are often taught in FAR Capital's weekly classes. So like for FAR Capital, like the property investment club that I'm in, not only they craft a lot of deals for property investors like us, they help people who are lacking in terms of financial knowledge like this to somewhat position or strategize their financial situation better to own a property. And a lot of individuals, especially Malaysians, are unaware of this kind of things. Oh, bank give free money, I take lah. Bank give free money, I take lah. But subsequently, when they pile everything up, right, wow, it's going to be a massive snowballing effect, and living is just a huge suffering for anybody with huge debt that they cannot afford lah. So somewhat you are using properties with heavy rebates. Like for us, without debts, right, fortunately, the heavy rebate that become a very interesting investment option, because my money installment is tabulated on the amount of loan I owe the bank if I were to take full flexi, right? So if we are in the same situation, a 1 million property, I qualify 90%, but I still get 250,000 cash back from the property, right? If I got no use for the cash of 250,000, I can put back into the account, and the interest is actually tabulated based on the loan that they provide, which is 700,000. Because I qualified for 950, but I put back 250,000 in, so the interest will be tabulated on 700,000 instead of the full amount. To me as an investor, I have that competitive edge because my money installment will be lower, but the market rate for rent is going to be the same. So for you, you took 950 to clear your renovation loan. For me, I put back into the account. So that puts me in a better position of having positive cash flow for the exact same property. And this highlights the different intent and different usage of property as an asset class. Some buy it for cash flow to settle their business debts because they started a business, but now they rugi teruk, then they are in debt. They use property loan to somewhat cover, then use monthly installment to drag the recovery. At least there's a fighting chance. Some use it to settle renovation loans, some use it to really build wealth, some buying it for just collection's sake. I also don't understand that one. How I wish I can. But ultimately, that's the importance of financial literacy, and that's why I love real estate also lah. Because they are mere tools. Actually, real estate investment is just a tool for us to achieve what we want. So before we go further, Mami Desu, so I guess that's the scenario for you already, right? Before I go further, like, I will talk a lot. So my point is, investment that I made 10 years ago that built equity, right? If you know how to do things, you are taking out loan again, which is refinancing from the exact property that I bought 10 years ago. So I took out like 670,000 where the rent can still cover the new installment amount. So every month is still zero, where they cover each other, right? Then for this 670,000, I can still use this to pay down payment for my next property purchase because I can no longer qualify for 90%. I need to pay more upfront, and I can use these to pay that upfront. So I can get more properties, and it just rolls again and again every 5 years, 10 years, 5 years, 10 years. And this is going to work only when we pick the right properties. So the rule to that is we always tie back to the market price, the median market price, and the rental rate. As long as my rent can cover my installment, it's all good. But easier said than done to find such properties, right? But we can do a lot of homework now. There's open house to help you find. Now there's FAR Capital to help you facilitate everything. If you don't know how to do, they teach you. If you still don't know how to do, they got one-on-one coaching for you. Wow, what an interesting time. And do take note that this only happens when the market is not doing good, which means property developers finding it very hard to sell their properties. That's why they give heavy discount, because now people with no money also can buy property. And only at times like this, we can enjoy such facilities and deploy strategies to own more or to settle things while it's still available. Imagine when market is hot. A clear example is like the project in Desa Bak City. It's a very bold move where they say there's no discount, no rebate. Everybody who wants to book the property pay upfront 10%. No hanky-panky, no all these innovative financial instrument strategies or whatsoever they want to call it lah. Pure 10%. They are so confident with their product, but it's still sold out. But the price that you get is genuinely market price. No more fluff price where like a lot of people talk about new properties are always pricier because they want to include all this buffer for people to play around. But just imagine if today the whole market introduces no more discount, all pure solid cash 10% to own any form of property. Do you think it's a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. But as a capitalist, I'm going to be very happy because now a lot of people cannot buy property, so everyone will need to rent from me, I hope. And developers will then shrink in sizes because not many players will be available anymore. Nobody can play such things anymore. Only the real solid boys gets to play in the playground. Hence, supply will greatly drop. And what happens when supply drop? Property prices will increase further, which is again good for property investors. And this is going to be a theory that will have a never ending to different simulations and whatsoever. But ultimately, thank you very much, Mami Desu, for writing in. So I would suggest a very romantic dinner to have a conversation with your wife to get the blessing. At the same time, find out more information about the billings and the time you will receive the cashback first. Hopefully you get it as early as possible so your strategy will work. And I guess that's all for this episode. Thank you very much for writing in. And for those who still have any questions regarding real estate, do just email me at taniherng@gmail.com, or you can just DM me on Instagram, iherng, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Ciao.